I'm thrilled that you're joining me here. My name is Marilyn Evans. I'm the founder of Parents Aware and host of the Media Savvy Moms podcast, the podcast that is leading the conversation about parenting and pornography today. Today, I want to discuss good, better, and best practices for developing safer screen habits in your family, specifically when it comes to kids and their smartphones. I've debated about how to approach this topic because I know that every family is different. Some families wait until 8th grade or high school to give their kids a device, while other families start their kids maybe with limited access as young as 11, 10, and even 9 years old. Either way, involved parents worry about how their kids behave on that device and what they're getting into online. And rightly so. Kids are curious explorers. If their playground is in part the internet, then there's a high probability that they'll run into harmful content sooner rather than later, or find themselves in a dangerous situation. I've had parents write to me this year and tell me their child has seen pornography so graphic that they themselves could never have imagined it. Others talk about the pressure their child feels to keep up on social media and how that heightens anxiety or leaves them feeling depressed. Parents are shocked to find out that their child has been interacting with someone online that they've never met in real life. Sometimes it's someone much older than them. And we know that kids can get coerced into sending compromising photos of themselves, and then they're threatened and extorted to send more and often progressively more explicit images. And finally, other parents have confided that their child is the one acting out, that their child is the one saying or doing mean things, or requesting nudes, or downloading porn. Almost always, these issues come back to the smartphone. One mom recently wrote, "My daughter is 11. Her friend, who's 12, told her about Pornhub. She started looking because she wanted to act cool and be popular like her friend. I can't believe that anyone can just click there with no restrictions. Instantly, these kids are watching graphic, hardcore porn. My daughter is so young, but now she's seen things that can't be unseen." So what do? How do we safeguard our kids? How do we keep them out of trouble while they're on their phones? How do we monitor the 3 big concerns of online behavior? Content, contact, and conduct. Many parents say you have to check your kid's phone every night. So that's the first strategy we're going to look at. This is basic level screen safety. It's good, but it has some limitations that we're going to talk about too. The second strategy is to build an alliance with your child through open communication. That's the better option, but I want you to know that it's often very successfully combined with the first. And finally, the third strategy is the best, and that's helping your child learn to make smarter, safer decisions online based on their own core values. This takes time to nurture and develop, of course, but it's not as hard as you might think, and the investment to do so is so worth it. The other day, someone in a parenting group wanted to know who checked their child's phone every day. She herself had a 13-year-old at home, and I'm guessing that 13-year-old was putting up some resistance, as 13-year-olds often do. So before I continue, I want to acknowledge how much I love when parents ask questions. I think we would all do well to ask more questions and to get one another's thoughts and perspectives on raising kids in this media-saturated world. This is new and confusing territory for all. Well, many parents did respond, and it didn't surprise me that everyone was answering in the affirmative. Yes, 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 they said. 100%. Oh, absolutely. I always check my kids' phones at night. Now, some parents admitted that they checked their child's device or phone in secret, while others said that their kids were fully aware of the drill. The thing is, if I had answered honestly in that group, I would have had to say no. I don't check my child's phone. I'm going to add that he is now an older teen, but all throughout high school, we decided on a different approach to monitoring and screen safety for him. And this was something we discussed before handing over a smartphone. Saying that publicly, that I don't check my kid's phone here on the podcast, makes me feel a little vulnerable. I recognize that this is going against the grain, but I assure you that online safety is a priority in our home. I am confident that there is a better and less cumbersome way to achieve online safety than simply checking your child's phone on a regular basis. If this were a sliding scale of good, better, and best, then checking devices and search history is, in my opinion, a base level minimum. It's good. It's the starting point. And I believe all parents need to be familiar with how to set up parental controls and check the search history of every internet-enabled device in their home. Now, if you want tips on how to do that, then please listen to episode 236, Tech Safety 101, Routers, Filters, and Parental Controls. This is an episode we did with Chris McKenna of Protect Young Eyes, and the information in it is golden. Super simple, straightforward, and easy to get started. Remember, any phone or device that we allow our kids to use before they are 18 years of age belongs to us. Our name is on the contract. That means that whatever gets downloaded or shared from that device ultimately is also our responsibility. So getting involved is good. Checking your child's device or phone is good. Doing this shows an awareness that our children can and do come across dangerous content online. So I stand up and applaud any parent who refuses to turn a blind eye to these issues or refuses to believe that these harms couldn't apply to their kid. It can and it does. Navigating a media-saturated world is tough work. All kids are feeling it, and parent involvement, we know, is the biggest key to their success. So if checking a child's phone is good, then why am I not shouting it from the rooftops? Well, because I don't think it's a standalone solution. It is just the beginning. But if we rely on phone checks and monitoring to the exclusion or delay of open communication, then we can be seen as an obstacle between our kids and not just their tech, but their whole social world. And you might be thinking, well, so what, Marilyn? It's my phone. You just told me that, and it's my job to keep them safe. And I would agree. But what we want to avoid is having a child who becomes fixated on outsmarting the rules and the system, who gets fixated on outsmarting us. That, in my mind, is a far more dangerous situation. When we hand our kids a smartphone, we need them to know that we are on the same team as them, that we're there to mentor and guide them, and that we're prepared to deal with any issues or concerns that arise through that device. What we really want is to say, hey, let's work together so that you can use your phone and be safe while you're on it. The truth is, if a child or teen doesn't feel secure going to their parents when they're in trouble, then they will do everything in their power to hide that behavior when things go wrong. And for sure, a child who is motivated to keep a secret on their device will find a way to produce a clean phone check. So if phone checks are important to your peace of mind, that's okay. What I recommend is that you rely on a monitoring app like Bark. Bark is simple to download and use. It monitors text messages and emails and social activity, but it just looks for signs of harmful interactions and content, and you get to set what level that is. So when Bark's algorithms detect a potential risk, it sends you an email alert. That way, parents don't have to comb through every single post and text. And the app even offers recommendations on how to talk to your child about the potential danger. So that's one of the really great benefits of this app. It promotes this open communication. So for many parents, Bark is the added safeguard that they need. And you can try Bark free for 30 days. Just enter the promo code MediaSavvy when you download the app. So even with a fantastic monitoring app like Bark, the better strategy is to have an open and ongoing conversation about tech safety, body safety, relationships, etc. with your son or daughter. They need to know what to do when they encounter dangerous content online, receive an inappropriate text, or when they are the victim of cyberbullying. As I said earlier, we need to become our kids' best ally in helping them navigate through this media-saturated world. They need to know that they can come to us when they're in trouble. Some kids would guard any secret for fear of losing their phone, and that's not the position we want to put them in. I know it's a delicate balance. On the one hand, we're wanting to protect our kids from everything. On the other hand, we're preparing them to make better decisions. Online dangers are very real, and the consequences can be very devastating. Kids do get in trouble with their phones, but those that find themselves in the most serious trouble are often those who feel they could never tell their parents, either because they think their parents wouldn't understand, that they would freak out, or because they fear their parents would take away their device. It's not enough to simply create rules around tech. That's why for me, it's not a question of how often I should monitor my kid's device, but rather what can I do to better mentor them to use tech well? And how can we keep the lines of communication open? Every day, our children are bombarded with thousands of choices to make online. By putting important conversations on the table, kids will know that their parents can handle talking about tough issues. They will know that they can turn to a parent if they're in trouble. Yes, they may hide their activity for a time, but ultimately, they will trust that you, their parents, will have the answers and the solutions they need. For this better approach to work, these conversations always need to start from a place of love and understanding. We have to abandon shame. It's not helpful. But to help you get started, I am going to share some of my favorite resources in the show notes below, including books and videos you can read and watch together. Plus, I am soon to release Get Off the Fence, which is a digital course specifically designed to help you talk to your child or teen about the harms of pornography. I'm super excited about this course. So, as I mentioned, my goal is to help our kids build their own safer screen habits. Digital safety always works best when done from the inside out. That means the best and most effective tech and screen safety plan we can give our kids is one that they have helped to build, one that they understand the reasons behind any boundaries, and where they take ownership of the plan every step of the way. To do that, we need to help our kids discover what's most important to them in a very intentional way. I like to ask my kids outright, what are their hopes and dreams? What do they want to become? What do they want to do? How do they want to act? I mean, this is exciting stuff, and I want them to think about these things not just in 5 or 10 years into the future, but right now, every single day. In essence, we're helping our kids to identify and tap into their core values. We want them to understand that the tech they use and the media they consume can support rather than distract from those values. There's a saying, safety doesn't happen by accident. And when it comes to kids and tech, it could not be more true. More than checking phones, our kids need us to mentor them to thrive in this digital space. They need us to help them build their own safer screen habits, not by accident, not by catching them doing something stupid on their phone, but with a very intentional step-by-step process that includes them in the plan. When our children and teens are part of the decision-making process of how they use their phones, they will be more likely to follow our suggestions and advice. We can help our kids understand from the beginning that it is very much their responsibility in how they use tech for good. It might look like them devoting more time to sports, taking up their musical instrument more often, getting outside to play, having face-to-face time with friends, even dating. Of course, we want them to get out and date and experience that. It could also mean caring for a family pet, having family game night, family movie night. Even homework can be seen as an exciting option when framed in the right light. When that happens, we move past the minimum of checking screens and devices. Before we wrap up, I want to be clear, I am not dissuading you from checking your child's search history or smartphone. In fact, if you have given or are planning to give your child their own phone or tablet at a young age, then I strongly urge you to use parental controls and install a monitoring app. But as your kids get older, you'll want them to be able to tap into safer screen habits on their own accord. So it's up to you to decide when to lessen the monitoring. And this will depend in large part on your relationship, your child, their personality, the situation that you find yourselves in, and how well you see them integrating into non-screen activities. One final note. We know that just because everything seems healthy and well on the outside doesn't mean a child or teen isn't struggling or hiding a dark secret on the inside. But the more you talk, the better idea you'll have at how they're doing. And isn't that really the best peace of mind? I want to remind you that there's a free PDF available with our podcast show notes today. It is the quick guide to safer screen habits, and it's designed to help you and your family start to have open conversations around tech and screen safety. These are conversations that help you recognize and set priorities around the things that are most important to you so that when your child turns to tech, there's purpose and conscious decision making behind it. When we keep our priorities in mind, everything else can fall into its proper place. We aim to have tech and screen time enhance our lives rather than something that distracts and overwhelms or leads to dangerous situations. We always want to strive for a happy, balanced, and safe use of technology. Again, to claim your quick guide to safer screen habits, visit parentsaware.info/podcast. Thank you again for joining the conversation. If you'd like more information about what was discussed in this episode, visit our detailed show notes at parentsaware.info. And if you simply want to follow us on social media, we are at Media Savvy Moms on Instagram and parentsaware/Media Savvy Moms podcast on Facebook. Until next time, keep talking.